After 5 months of uncertainty, court battles, political maneuverings, and blatant attempts to derail democracy and the will of the Guyanese people, Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali was sworn in as the 9th Executive President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana on August 2, 2020, a day that marked the beginning of a journey of unprecedented transformation in Guyana with the unparalleled benefits for her citizens in these COVID-19 times. Prime Minister, thanks for joining us. Today marks the 100 days in office since you were sworn in. What is your assessment of how the government would have dealt with this challenge over the 100 days since you've been in office?
Well, thank you, Shakil, for having me here today, and hello to our viewers. If we're talking about the challenges from coming into office, perhaps we should talk a little bit about the challenges that led us into office. As you know, we had elections on the 2nd of March, and the PPPC won those elections, but it took us 5 months of post-elections struggle to get to office. And during that 5 months, we had to appeal to the international community. We went through a recount of the votes, and the recount of the votes showed clearly what we knew by the 5th of March, that we were the victors at the elections. We knew that. So we had 5 months of struggle to ensure that the rule of law was upheld in Guyana. And eventually, as you mentioned, on the 2nd of August, we were sworn into office as the new government of Guyana. From then to now, indeed, it was 100 days of hard work, 100 days of dealing with challenges in the interest of the people of Guyana. And to come back to your first question, COVID-19. COVID-19, we had to deal from day one with the major challenge facing the Guyanese people, the pandemic COVID-19. We met a situation where there were 2,000, as the previous administration claimed, 2,000 testing kits in country and just about 50,000 face masks, limited PPEs for the frontline workers. And we basically had to hit the ground running. We had to redesign how we do things as it pertains to COVID-19, redesign the secretariat. We formed a COVID-19 policy unit that dealt with strategic issues pertaining to foreign assistance to help us in the fight with COVID-19. And that unit, we had myself as the coordinator, the new coordinator of the COVID-19 task force, the Minister of Health, the private sector, representatives from CARICOM, PAHO, and the United Nations UNDP office in Guyana. And quickly, we were able to put together a number of assistance to help us in the fight against COVID-19. And you will hear more from the Minister of Health when he comes to do a similar program with you. But we have moved from 2,000 testing kits to over 60,000 testing kits. We've moved from 4 ventilators to now over 50 ventilators in Guyana. And we have regional hospitals with ventilators. We've moved from having limited PPEs to protect our frontline workers to now having adequate PPEs. Now in country we have over 1 million masks, so we can share out to our frontline workers, and we have several organizations that are even sewing masks in Guyana to assist in mass distribution. And we have ramped up the whole awareness of the COVID-19 measures, because we believe that once we can communicate to the people the importance of adhering to the COVID-19 measures, that itself will curb the spread of COVID-19 in Guyana. So wearing the mask, social distancing, and sanitizing. That message was spread throughout the length and breadth of Guyana. We've prepared hampers, not only from the government side, but we have the assistance, with the assistance of the private sector, civil society, and we distributed hampers, food hampers and sanitization hampers to all communities in Guyana. So that itself is one of the success stories of our 100 days. We've been able to curb the spread of COVID-19 in Guyana. We've been able to test more people for COVID-19 in Guyana. When we came into office, it's just about 40, the maximum 40 tests were done per day for COVID-19. We're at a stage now where we're doing over 300 tests daily for COVID-19. And we have the capacity of going right up to 1,000 tests per day for COVID-19. So this is the administration that hit the ground running and was able to make some changes to quickly curb the spread and have us today at a stage where we're no longer afraid of the disease, but we have been able to utilize scientific knowledge to confront the disease and to curb the spread of the disease and to treat people who are affected by the disease.
Well, Prime Minister, you've said a lot about a multi-sectoral approach, about regional response, increased testing, adequate equipment for better occupational safety and health, and you've been able to do a lot. We've also seen you hit the ground running yourself, leading from the front in the Stabroek market, distributing masks in Albert Town, I think it is, distributing hampers. So you've really been involved. But you just mentioned you've hit the ground running, and you were able to do this without a budget for August and September. How were you able to pull this off?
Well, you know, without a budget, all government agencies would have been operated on 1/12 of the previous year's budget. So there was money, but the money, of course, was not adequate. What we had to do was to prioritize in the sense of what is needed, what are the immediate needs as we confront what is required to keep the country going. So we had our priorities and we pursue our priorities, and during the 60 days, that is the August and September period, as you know, we prepared an emergency budget and we passed that budget through Parliament to cater for the rest of the year.
Another major achievement of the government is liberalizing the telecommunications sector, which again, Prime Minister, you led from the front in that regard. What does that mean for the Guyanese people?
Liberalization of the telecommunications sector is something that should have happened a long time in Guyana. It should not have waited until the PPPC assumed office on the 2nd of August. As you know, if you know the history, this is a process that started some 14 years ago. And we were happy in the sense that it was a campaign promise to the people. In our manifesto, the lead up to the March 2nd elections, we told the people that one of the front burner issues will be liberalization of the telecommunication sectors so they can immediately reap the benefits that will come from liberalization. And we are happy that we are able to do it way within the 100 days. And right away, you and many other Guyanese have already started to reap the benefits of that liberalization. You're paying less per call per minute now. You're paying less per bandwidth. There are more investors who are approaching the telecommunications sector. And at the end of it all, everything will belong to the benefit of the people of Guyana. Less rates in terms of rates and better service eventually will be available for all Guyanese. And another important aspect is bridging the divide, bridging the ICT divide. So more and more communities like in the hinterland, which are not receiving good service, more and more their service will improve. And so it will be a benefit for all the people of Guyana. Because with competition will lead to better service, will lead to better pricing in the ICT and telecommunications sector.
Prime Minister, energy, that is another sector that is under your purview. And again, we've seen big gains, at least structural work in that sector since you've come in. Leading from the front, I saw you tour one of GPL's main facilities also. The cost of electricity and the reliability of electricity has always been a challenge for Guyanese. How will you address the energy mix? I've heard you speak a lot of times about the energy mix in a long-term, short-term, medium and long-term way. How will you deal with the energy sector for Guyana?
Well, the whole issue of the energy sector and reliable and affordable energy will remain a challenge for a while for us in Guyana. However, we will confront the challenge because we feel, just like in telecommunications, better service and better pricing will improve the life of the people. And a government that is people-centered will also work on improving the reliability of electricity in Guyana. As it is, we're producing just about what is needed, what is demanded by the people in Guyana. And what we have done, we have some plans that we consider immediate plans, plans in the short to medium term, and plans for the long term. Our immediate plan is to increase the power that is available by buying power locally. We have a deal with Giftland, a contract was signed with Giftland since December 2019, and what we've done, we've operationalized that contract. So as I speak, Giftland is capable of giving between 4 to 5, maximum 5 megawatts to the grid. And we've invested in having an additional 10 megawatts, which will become available by mid-December. The whole aim is to ensure that as we go into the Christmas holiday periods, we have enough power to provide reliable electricity to the people. There's a lot of work going on transmission and distribution network. We're trying to repair and keep the transmission and distribution network serviceable, so that will minimize power outages as we approach the Christmas period. In the medium term, short to medium term, you heard a lot about gas to shore, and I can tell you, I can promise you and promise the people of Guyana that the gas to shore project is another front burner project for us. And with that project, our aim is to have 200 to 250 megawatts being delivered to the people of Guyana. And I know other speakers would have reported that we can do it by the end of 2023. But I would want to tell the people of Guyana that by Christmas 2024, we in Guyana will not have to worry about reliable electricity, because we will complete that project, and that itself will add, as I said, 200 to 250 megawatts to the grid, and basically that will solve the electricity problem for generally people on the coastline, especially in the Demerara-Beast interconnected system. However, as you know, we also have the renewable energy project, which is another part of the mix, and what I will consider the important part of the mix, because through the renewable energy project, all those communities in the remote areas, hinterland and Legwan, Wakanam, they will benefit from a series of developmental projects that will include mini hydros, solar farms, and wind farms. So over the next 5 years, and perhaps I should say over the next 10 years too, because another significant project will be the Amelia Falls Hydro Project. So over the medium to long term, we will see greater development and use of renewable energy in Guyana.
So we have renewable energy, we have gas to shore, we have increasing the capacity of the grid to make it a bit more reliable, much more reliable than it is at the moment.
And what is important too is that with the gas to shore project itself, we'll see a massive reduction in the electricity rates, somewhere between 50% reduction in what you're paying for in electricity.
And I'm sure that'll be do good for the commercial sector as well.
That will be good for the domestic, for the households, for the commercial and industrial sector as well, indeed.
So, Prime Minister, dealing with COVID-19, increased reliable energy, we spoke about increased energy, COVID-19. Let's talk a little bit about the infrastructure, right? You know, the government has started to do put a lot of structural things in place, the Demerara Harbour Bridge, a bridge across the Quarantine. Tell us about the plans for the government when it comes to the infrastructure sector.
Well, there are several what I refer to as transformative infrastructural projects that you will see be rolled out over the next 5 years by this government. The subject ministers will talk in detail about those projects whenever they come to do a similar program, you know, the first 100 days. But what you will see over the next 5 years, there will be better roads, there will be bridges, and several other projects that will basically transform Guyana. Hotels, you heard about hotels, okay? The whole aim is to improve the infrastructure and to make Guyana a center of investment where foreign direct investment will find Guyana attractive. More hotel rooms for conventions, right? More venues that are developed for tourism. So the whole aim of these infrastructural projects is to improve life for the people of Guyana and to make Guyana attractive to foreign direct investment.
Again, Prime Minister.
And to create employment for Guyanese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, we spoke about the liberalization of the telecommunications sector, energy, improved infrastructure. You've been in office for 100 days, Prime Minister. Since then, what is your overall assessment of the government's performance?
Well, you know, our government is a people-centered government. Whatever we do, the people of Guyana, and it doesn't matter whether they voted for the PPPC at the last election, we are now the government, and our developmental approach is for all the people of Guyana. This is the first 100 days, but then we are now going into the preparation of our budget for 2021. And what we're looking forward to is better health facilities, better school facilities, better housing, better infrastructure, possibilities of increased employment for the people of Guyana, and every other project or programs that will improve the life of the people of Guyana. And we don't want to wait until 2025 to do it. We're doing it now.
Prime Minister, you sort of answered my next question, but I'll still ask you in case you have anything to add. My next question to you would have been, we spoke about the 100 days, and you just told us about a lot of things that the Guyanese people may be able to benefit from going forward. From now, 100, 200 days, 300 days, first year, for the next 5 years, how do you see the Guyanese people benefiting from a PPPC government?
The Guyanese people will progressively benefit from a PPPC government because every year, as we prepare the budget, as I mentioned before, we made a commitment to the people that this will be a government of the people, a people-centered government, and we have in our manifesto several programs, several projects, And it is our intention to complete all those programs and projects that are outlined in our manifesto. So when we reach 2025 or 2026, whenever is the next election, we can report to the people that this is the government that you voted in on this manifesto, and these are the projects and programs that we delivered during the time you elected us to serve. And we're here to you, ask you for another mandate to continue the transformative work, continue the transformation of Guyana.
Prime Minister, thank you for clarifying things for us. Thank you for your insights, and thank you for your time.
You're welcome, and thank you, people of Guyana, and we'll continue to work towards your well-being and the development of Guyana. Thank you.